It's only now. Now it's 9 in a clock.
Yes.
So we can wait for 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah. 1 minute. We are just waiting.
Ah, ah.
Yeah. So it's about 9 a.m. So I think before we start with the formal discussion, I'll go over to Arpit ji to share a few words about the purpose of SMS. Arpit ji, over to you.
Thank you, Ruji, and welcome to all to this special session on GST Day, which we always keep. And this is on 1st July, as we always celebrate GST Day. SMS is one session which we all participants like to join, and the level of discussion and the level of thoughts which we share on the subject is beyond everyone's imagination. What the common topics we think that this would not be involving any technical issues or interpretation issues. Speaker comes up with such a mind-boggling interpretation that we start thinking that whether we are acquainted with GST or whether we are a new student in GST. And that's the beauty of SMS, that each and every speaker who comes, he gives it his all and tries to explore the subject in a manner that no one has ever done. And in this trying and in this effort, we get to know the new aspects of interpretation in the sections. I always remember the interpretation of normal sections like section 22, 24, 25, which we thought that these are procedural sections and would not be involving any much discussion. So the basic theme of SMS is try to interpret and bring out new issues in the section, and the speakers who are coming are giving their all, and the members of the group, we try to keep this group a restrictive group, and whoever wants to join has to fulfill certain conditions so that the level of the discussion is always maintained. And we all, as always, we all know that all the members are faculty at some point of time in some region of the country. So it's a very cherished group for the admin team also to manage this, and we really like this. And it's something, what we can say, we are doing it, and it's a blessing for us for being an admin. Rest all the members are intelligent and experts in their field. So the basic purpose which we have tried, and the group age of the group is almost 4 to 5 years, and it has lived its objective, and we will keep moving it higher and higher. So this is the basic object and theme of SMS.
Thank you so much, Arpit. So I think with this, we'll just quickly start with the session today. So today we have, and the purpose of today's session specifically is to acquaint ourselves with the best practices in tax tribunals. So as we all know, many of us are already representing before the tribunals or before the different forums. But there was an interest generated by the group members saying that if we want to start the GST at practice tomorrow, what are the things that we need to have in mind? And what are the things that we need to learn from people who are actually into this deep practice? So we had a wonderful privilege of having two panelists from two different segments. One, we have Advocate Karan Talwarji, and another we have CA Pulok Shahji. So I'll introduce Advocate Karan Talwarji first. Yeah. So Mr. Karan Talwar is a lawyer by profession. He has now been practicing in tax and commercial laws for almost 2 decades. And he is the partner and branch head of a premier. He was a partner and branch head of a premier all India law firm in charge of Hyderabad office. And now he's set up his own chamber practice, which is known as Karan Talwar and Estates, in the year 2017, the year of GST in Hyderabad. Having graduated from Nalsar University of Law, which is one of the best, he won the gold medal for taxation as also the best student in final year. He has spoken at various seminars for ASSOCHAM, FTCCI, FFPCCI. He is also co-chair of the FTCCI Committee on Indirect Tax and a member of Chartered Institute of Arbitrators. Mr. Karan Talwar regularly advises and litigates for clients in indirect tax and direct taxes. He's got a reputation of appearing before the different forums, be it the tribunal, be it the Honorable Supreme Court, the Telangana and the AP High Court, the STAT, ITAT, and the quasi-judicial authorities. And he's delivered lectures at different forums also. Apart from that, another distinguishing feature of Mr. of Advocate Karan Talwar is that he has number of reported judgments in his name. To name a few, which we have quoted recently, maybe Cosin India by the Honorable Calcutta High Court, and Big Leap, which we are quoting in many places. Which are quoting in many places, saying that if there is a procedure to be followed, that has to be followed. If that is not followed, so with this short introduction, I would like to welcome Mr. Karan Talwar to SMS and the GST faculty group. Now I'll introduce next panelist for the day, CA Pulak Shah. Sir, I think sir has joined. Just give me 1 second. I'm not sure sir has joined from which name. Pulak?
Yes, I have joined.
Acha, Pulak, acha, you have joined from this. Pulak, just give me 1 minute. I'll just change the name. So, welcome. Let's all welcome CA Pulak Shah. So, I'll just introduce sir also. And I'll just change the name once.
Actually, I was unable to join from my laptop, so I had to take it from my phone.
Thank you, Pulak. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. So I'll just now quickly introduce. CA Pulak Shah is a managing partner of CNK and PK Shah Associates, and he's a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants and also associate member of the ICAMA. He was the founder of the PK Shah Associates, a boutique tax firm in Kolkata in 1996. After a successful career as an indirect tax consultant, he had joined PricewaterhouseCoopers LLP in December 2014 as partner in indirect tax. He was responsible for setting up the indirect tax litigation practice in PwC India. He developed it, and he also set up the indirect tax practice in Bangladesh for PwC Bangladesh. After a successful stint for 9 years and 4 months in PwC, he retired from there and he joined back PK Shah Associates. And I would like to share that Pulak, as we fondly call him, CA Pulak Shah, he is an inspiration to all of us. He has over the last 28 years argued for more than 500 indirect tax matters in CESTATs. Okay, and not only matters which have high value, but also which are highly litigative. And it's really a privilege for us, for people in Calcutta, to listen to sir and to take out the wisdom from whatever sir is arguing. We have taken notes, we have learned from him, and it's really a privilege that we get to know the things from CA Pulak Shah today about how to do the practice in the tribunal in the best way possible. So without going into further, I once again welcome both the panelists on behalf of the faculty group. And now I would like to quickly go to CA Pulak Shah first. So, sir, I would like to know that what was your inspiration for joining the tribunal? Or how did you start this litigation practice? What was your motivation for this, sir? About your journey.
Thank you, Arup. Thank you, the group, for inviting me, and very good morning to all the participants today. You know that coming to the tribunal in CESTAT, before coming to the tribunal in CESTAT, I have appeared before the ITAT for quite a long time, because in my initial stint in corporate taxation, in that point in time, one of the largest corporate house in India, I was into the corporate taxation team department. So I had the experience in appearing before the ITAT. But when I decided to switch over to indirect tax specialization, so that time when I started that, the first case, that I had little experience in ITAT, etc., that helped me a lot. But the approach in ITAT and approach in CESTAT are completely different, I understood. The drafting pattern, argument, a lot of things I have learned. The most important thing is that understanding the judge, understanding the members, their mood, their thought process, their reception, their intelligence. So the basic thing, I started that sitting in the bench and started understanding the person, that, and it is extremely important for understanding the judge first. because different judge has different level of intelligence, different level of patience, and based on that judgment, I had to prepare. Because whenever I used to appear before any tribunal, first I used to understand who is the judge, who is the members are sitting there, who is the technical member, who is the judicial member, who is actually driving the bench. And I used to take all these backup from. Now, coming back to that, what inspired me, because you know that I had always been, because I was, though I was doing the consulting and etc. advisory, but I thought that unless until I do litigation, you know, that though I'm not a lawyer, I regret for that, of course. I did not do my LLB degree. Uh, but it was always my passion, and I had a natural flair in law, mostly into the tax law, corporate law during my CA period and etc. So I thought that first I should go for the tribunal. Unless until I go to the tribunal and litigate the matter, I won't be able to get the professional recognition, because that was my main aspiration, to get a professional recognition. So getting the professional recognition you have to give, and in the process as a professional, I am actually providing service to the society, right? This is what was my purpose of coming to this. I wanted to really give service to the society by way of I mean that giving my knowledge and etc. etc. That was the basic thing. And one important thing, I was very fortunate enough that I got a very good guru in my life for this kind of, though, because since I'm not an advocate, I did not have that opportunity to work under an advocate as a chamber in his chamber practice and etc. But by God's grace, I got a wonderful guru in my life. He taught me the tricks. He taught me the tricks. You know that law, everybody reads, everybody understands law. How, when, what to be applied to win a case. I remember that when I used to work with Mr. Bajoria, R.N. Bajoria, he used to tell that, you know, that if you can write in indirect tax mainly, if you can write the fact perfectly, a good fact can win even a bad case. And a bad fact, even a good case, you will lose. So more concentrate on right understanding the fact from the client, and never mention the fact only. Every fact must be supported by evidence. Otherwise, your fact will remain as a statement. Statement is not acceptable to the court. Statement must be supported by evidence. Then only your statement, your evidence, your fact would be acceptable to the bench, and you can make out your case. This is what I learned from my gurus and all these things. And whenever I also in my office and during my PwC days also, because I set up the indirect tax litigation practice for PwC. So I taught all the people that please try to understand, give some time, spend some time understanding the law from the client, understand the operations of the company, because indirect tax is a transactional tax. If you do not understand the transaction, how do you know or how do you justify the implications of the tax on that particular transaction? Most of the cases I have observed that people just cut paste the different case laws and say that my case is similar to this case, so it would be allowed. But he has not mentioned his case. He has not mentioned. I got so many briefs before, appearing before the tribunal. There is no fact. 20 cases, 30 cases they have cut pasted there, and said that our fact and based on the fact and circumstances and the decisions of these various courts and so, that we are not liable to pay tax. But his case he has not mentioned.
The facts.
His fact has not mentioned. His operation has not mentioned. So how do we correlate the case which has been mentioned? The case which has been mentioned is similar to my fact. I have not written my fact. So
Pulak,
this is my
yeah,
experience.
Pulak, yeah. So Pulak, I think, yeah, thank you so much. I think you have, just to summarize, you have shared some important things. Firstly, about observing the tribunal. As you have said, when you went from ITAT to SESTAT, you observed how the tribunal is working. Next, you said that there is a difference between a fact and a statement, because a fact backed by evidence is a statement backed by evidence becomes a fact. So that is very important thing. And finally, you have shared about case law. So about this, we'll take the discussion further in the questions to come in. Now I'll
Okay.
go to Mr. Karan Talwarji to share his journey in the both experience, sir. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Again, thank you, Baruch ji, and of course, nice to meet you, Pulak ji, and to all the
Thank you,
audience.
Karan. Thank you.
So I started off, of course, enjoying tax in college, and I always hoped at some point of time I would have tax as an area of specialization. And for me, joining the tribunal actually came as an incident of just doing tax practice. I started off my career in the City Civil Court of Hyderabad, actually. For a few months, I was there. And on the weekends, I would work with a chartered accountant's office and I would read up their files on income tax and help them prepare for the next week. Now, you may call it the immaturity of youth or the eagerness of youth, but after a few months, I felt that, I should learn a lot more of tax, and the civil court was feeling a little slow for me. So then I moved to Delhi. I applied to Lakshmi Kumaran and Sridharan. I was selected, and then I started my journey with them. I was fortunate to appear in many matters before the commissioners, the tribunal, also a few cases in the High Court, and of course in the Supreme Court. I was assisting my seniors primarily, and when I first entered the tribunal, I must say, I felt very happy about it because I remembered as a law student, the great Nani Palkiwala had also honed his skills in the IT-80. And it was that launchpad that, really led him to then get selected for cases in High Court, and then doing, the most landmark judgments have really come based on his arguments. But the practical reality was that when I entered the tribunal and I saw it as this specialized body, arguments were made so quickly by the appearing CAs and lawyers. Judges also knew the subject so well. It felt like crazy speed at which arguments were made and decisions were given initially. So since Rupji, you said that you wanted to give some insight to those people who might now enter the GST tribunal for the first time, I'm therefore sharing my experience as a youngster, what I saw, and perhaps that's what some of them may feel.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes.
to make them aware that this could happen, because even if you know the subject, some of the members in the CSTAT back then, and this is 20 years ago when I first saw, the level of knowledge was incredible. So I burnt the midnight oil and ensured that I understand each and every aspect of the file, at least that I am entrusted with. And I was fortunate that within a year I was asked to argue my first case itself in the Honorable CSTAT, and it was before the then President A.K. Abhichandani. And it was a small matter, only 24,000 rupees. But I was very excited because I was arguing on the old Rule 57G5 of the MODVAT rules. It stipulated a time limit of 6 months to receive the goods from the date of the invoice to claim the credit. Goods had been seized by the department itself, so the goods could not reach the factory within 6 months. And I was able to, cite Latin maxims like lex cogit non ad impossibilia, etc., and gain success. And we won that matter. And it was, Pulakji will know, it was not an easy judge. It was a difficult judge. But that gave me a lot of confidence. And then slowly and steadily, many matters came. Then I appeared in the Hyderabad tribunal when it was set up by Justice Goda Raghuram, who then later became the president. and many matters were argued. And I felt that, in retrospect, handling so many matters before the tribunal really, really tells you how much you actually know the law. It is much easier to read the law in your office, interpret it before a client, even talk at a seminar. But when you are tested by a judge and the opposite side and you have to achieve success, that is the acid test of how much you really know. And the tribunal is the most specialized bench that we have, with knowledge of tax laws. So to really achieve success there, I think is one of the most important things. So then I think, again in 2014 to 17, I appeared in many cases. Almost, I think in one day, I remember I had reached about 5 cases I argued in a single day. So for me, that was very, very satisfying that from the small case that I had argued of 24,000 rupees, I was able to reach a stage where I could handle 5 cases in a day. And that really helped me also when I took on more complicated and difficult matters in the High Court. It helped build a reputation that here is a person who understands the specialized subjects well. And so I would definitely encourage all of your members or their students certainly appear in the tribunal. Start off by assisting other counsels or other CAs who regularly appear in the tribunal, gain experience. Pulakji talked about observing the bench. It is perhaps the most important thing to be done. So today, it would be a lot easier for you. You can probably sit in your office and observe the live streaming of, the tribunal's functioning, and I assume it will all be online like even the NCLT is. So it's a great, great opportunity to observe how people argue, how judges ask questions, how the department representatives argue. They have a completely different way of arguing compared to, what you'd see in a civil case. In fact, three, four of them together stand up in practice today to defend the case of the department. So it will be very, very good experience, and it will truly tell you how much you actually know of the law. And if you have gained success for a client, that feeling itself is so euphoric that it will make your, career very, very satisfying. So yes, that's my journey, and that's what I wanted to
Thank you
share.
so much. Thank you, Karanjan. I think the last word that you said, that is the truth, that once you win the case, it's really euphoric and it makes the day. So now I'll quickly go to Arpit ji for a question from his side. Arpit ji, over to you. Arpit ji, you have to unmute.
Thank you, Rupji. So, Pulakda, the first question is for you. And as we all know that GSTAT procedure rules have been notified, and Rule 20, Sub-Rule 1 of the GSTAT procedure rules say that every form of appeal shall set forth concisely under distinct heads. The grounds of appeal and such grounds shall be numbered consecutively. So the question, the thing which 20 Sub-Rule 1 emphasizes that the grounds of appeal and the appeal should be set forth concisely. So now the question comes before the arguing counsel that how the drafting of grounds of appeal has to be made. Whether there has to be a balance between a brevity and a sufficiency, whether the ground should be skeletal or should be brief explanatory, or whether all the ground should have an explanation behind them. So how the grounds of appeal have to be drafted: brief along with explanation, only concise along with the reference to the judgments, or a detail about the judgment also.
See, there are, that in my professional journey, all through I have learned and I pursued the English drafting, right? But very recently, I have, let me explain you what is this English drafting. The English drafting is basically first you have to write the entire fact of the case. Fact includes that who are you, what is your constitution, where are you situated, right? What you do, how you do, what you do in the process, how the tax implications comes in, why you did not pay tax or why you have taken the credit. Basically, either credit is challenged or tax has not been paid, or you have taken the exemption notification based on certain classification. This is so because you have to state that what you do, how you do, and why did you opted for the exemption notification? What is your bona fide belief? Why you have not paid tax on it? What was your bona fide belief? What is why did you take the credit? What is the type of credit? Why you have taken the credit? What is your bona fide belief? And now the audit came, show cause came, allegation, so and so, so and so, so and so. Then we write that what is the department's case, because by that time we have the order in hand, and now in the GST that there is in between, there is appeal is also there. Previously most of the cases were large cases, directly we sue from order in original to directly we should reach to the tribunal says that. But now there would be a, like income tax, we have now the commissioner appeal or joint commissioner, because once a first appeal comes in place into the GST, now all these departments case, then we used to write our submission, right? We used to write our submission, I mean that issue wise submission, and in that detailed submission, that what is my legal backup, because fact has already been stated. Fact has already been stated. Now I have to justify why I have not paid the tax, or why I have, what is the basis of my not paying the tax, taking the exemption, taking the credit, supported by evidence, supported by the case laws and relevant, mostly and mostly relevant case laws. Never ever use too many case laws, because too many case laws if you write, then you will be, because that will create a, I mean that create a difficulty for you, because most of the cases I have seen that people put too many without going into the details of the case, only the head note they put it, but in one of the paragraphs something which is against you. And since you have relied upon this you, that will create problem for you. That I have seen so many cases, people when they were arguing before the tribunal, right? Like that what Karan was telling, that the tribunal, that the members are well versed. It's not they are dumb. They also continuously argue. I have the privilege of arguing before the brightest of the brightest members in the Cistercian across the country, right? I know the level of intelligence of these people and the questions they throw. So you have to be very concise and precise. And I mean that it is, I would prefer that you should mention exactly similar case, not almost similar case. There is a big difference in law. Exactly similar case, almost similar case. When you don't have any case exactly similar, then you can put pressure on almost similar. Now it is a judgment. Whether almost similar case is fitting to your case or not, that judge will decide. But if you have only one case exactly similar, stick to that only one and fight it. Finish. Right? Now come to that, when we write the ground, ground is a crispy. 1, 2, 3, 4. The commissioner appeal, hard in doing this, hard in doing this. That's it. This is the way we were taught. I used to follow this drafting. But in the recent past, I find that lot of lawyers, lot of quite renowned lawyers, I must say that, they have started adopting the American style of drafting. In American style of drafting, once the fact has been written, then straightway they are going to the ground. And ground is they are drafting in such a way the heading, and that heading, then again a crispy fact and argument. So heading wise, argument, fact, or slight short fact, argument, department's case, and your case. This is the way they have started drafting, which I am following for a couple of senior counsels, those who are very experienced people. I have seen couple of drafting. I liked it. I checked up with couple of senior counsel that why there is a change and etc. Then say that now in the High Court also, because since I do not know anything about High Court, then I have been told that even in the High Court also the lawyers are now adopting the American style of EA. So there is a two different style. Both are same, right? At the end of the day, results are same, but the drafting style is different. But bottom line of this is that your fact has to be very, very clearly spelled out, supported by evidence. Otherwise, your fact will be treated as mere statement.
So what do you have? If I can summarize that the facts should be very clear. They should be supported by evidence. Else
Yes.
it should only be statement, and then the facts are followed by the grounds. There can be alternative styles of drafting. Normally, what we prefer that facts are followed by ground, or there can be American style of drafting, which we have made known all of made known to all of us, that a fact, the argument, and the brief description about the argument which has been made, or by the argument which has been taken by the department.
Yeah, basically how it writes, the fact you have mentioned, right? Once the fact is over, then the order has passed so, and you have and you are agreed by the order, and that is why you have filed this appeal on the following grounds, right? Now, ground is issue wise.
Okay.
Heading, issue heading, then under that heading, write a crispy fact, then your department's case and your case.
Okay.
This is the way now they are drafting.
Okay.
So
So
I liked it. This is a good approach. I liked it. So now we have started following that some of the cases. You know that it gives a different flavor actually.
yes.
It gives a different flavor.
Yes, and we are able to highlight issue-wise grounds, and that.
Yeah. And nowadays, another important thing I have seen that nowadays most of the tribunals are insisting on a written notes on argument, because when we file an appeal, say 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it's a very bulky, suppose 100 pages appeal paper, appeal document, right? Every time, at least in Calcutta, because I appear before the Calcutta tribunal almost regularly, so they don't hear if you do not bring a written notes on argument. In front of me, one day I saw that one advocate came from Delhi, but they refused to hear. They have given a date. Sorry, I know that you have come all the way from Delhi. It is in front of me. I have seen. So this is Mr. Ashok Jindal, who is now heading the Calcutta Tribunal. So nowadays that style has been, earlier it was not necessary. Sometimes the bench used to say that whatever you have argued, can you give me a small written notes? We used to send it after that. But now they said they ask it immediately. Based on that, your argument will start. They will not read 100 pages.
Okay.
So that is another art they are asking. So now from 100 pages, you have to make it to 15, 20 pages. Very crispy. Most of the cases, what we do, we refer suppose I have it 4 paragraphs, say for example, on a particular issue. Then for 4 paragraphs, I basically in one paragraph concise the whole thing and mention, please refer paragraph number so and so, page number so and so of the original on the main appeal paper book. So
Okay.
that make it crispy, and for their own reference, they will, once for the purpose of drafting that order, they will refer to that here. That is the way now things are happening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for enlightening our minds on the new aspect and how the drafting is being done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to you, Ruji, for the next
So
question.
now I'll request Karanji to give a supplementary to this, so his views on this, on the ground.
See, the classical method has always been that grounds must be concise. That's the specific
Yes.
question. In fact, even today, I find in the ITAT that practice is actually maintained. But in the CSTAT and also in the sales tax and VAT appellate tribunals, it has metamorphosed into more elaborate grounds being made. And there are possibly many reasons for this. One reason is that, especially because I have appeared before the Commissioners, Tribunal, and High Court and Supreme Court, what happens is that you have taken certain grounds in your reply to show cause or in your first appeal before the Commissioner Appeals or First Appellate Authority. An easy thing to do is to replicate that now in your grounds of appeal. So that was one reason why I think this practice started, wherein the grounds in the appeals before the CSTAT or the sales tax tribunals became more elaborate. The second is that when you have grounds which are concise and which is what they should ideally or classically be, sometimes the point may not be elaborated enough for the bench to understand if they have to read the file and come. So therefore, this practice also emerged wherein the grounds were started to be made a little more elaborate. The third, and which is I think what happened to many of the senior lawyers and the top law firms, is that when matters were carried forward from the tribunal to either the High Court or the Supreme Court, many a times the question would be asked by the bench, where have you specifically taken this ground? Now, to counter that and ensure that you don't have a problem in future when the matter goes up to the higher forums, it would be safe to ensure that the grounds of appeal are not crispy crackers only, but have some sort of elaboration so that you are protected. The classical method is absolutely true that you must make the grounds very concise. There is a very famous English quip. It takes a short time to write a long letter and it takes a long time to write a short letter. So obviously, it is easier to just dump everything into your grounds of appeal. But then there are many, many practical considerations that come. So another consideration which I've seen practically emerge is when there are many busy lawyers, and don't take this as a precedent, but sometimes a matter would be drafted in appeal, filed, it would come 5 years or 10 years later, and the particular counsel or CA may not turn up for whatever reason. There could be death of the counsel, a matter may have been missed, and the decision is passed ex parte. If that happens, it's very difficult for the lawyer who has to now do post-mortem and repair for it at the High Court or Supreme Court. So having the grounds there in the appeal, which are a little more elaborate, is therefore a safe method. So the practice that I have been following is, of course, the most important thing really is the statement of facts and evidence that must come forth in the appeal very, very comprehensively. In the statement of facts, we also mention about the brief allegations of show cause, our grounds, what the findings of the assessment order were, etc., etc. Then the grounds will, of course, deal with whatever are the core grounds. And my practice is whatever is your best ground, keep it on top. If that one ground will suffice for success, then that's the best thing. And one specific ground after all the grounds we take are where we deal with the specific findings of the assessment order. Because based on whatever grounds you argued in your reply to show cause or in your first appeal, there will be some specific findings of the commissioner where he has rebutted your grounds. So now to rebut those also becomes important, and to ensure that nothing is missed, that every finding is rebutted is critical. So to have a last ground as a ground which says that it is against the specific findings of the commissioner, we are now raising these grounds, is also a practice that I have followed. So that is the thing. The other thing I wanted to highlight is way back, the CSTAT procedure rules came in 1982. Similar provision to this Rule 20, Sub Rule 1, as you were saying, that grounds must be concise, was there even in the CSTAT procedure rules. But in 1995, there was an amendment to the CSTAT procedure rules. It specifically allowed for a reply to be filed to the appeal as prepared by any of the appellants. So what happened is that a system is emerging where there are like pleadings in the High Court, where you have an appeal and you have a reply thereto. Even in the new GSTAT procedure rules, there is a Rule 36 that contemplates a reply that may be filed to every appeal and also a rejoinder thereto. So now we have, I think, reached a stage where you will read Rule 20 and also Rule 36 harmoniously and say, yes, grounds must be concise, but it's also leading to a situation where there'll be a reply. That is all not happening really in, for example, the ITAT. Only written submissions are filed at the stage of final hearing. But now we have reached a stage where I think as a safe practice, it's important to make the grounds a little elaborate. If the new GSTAT comes and says, strictly speaking, no, grounds must only be concise, otherwise we'll not accept your appeals, then that's a different practice. Then everyone must follow. But if you're in a situation where some counsels or some CAs or some lawyers are making elaborate appeals and you are making them extremely short, then it shows that maybe your case is not so strong or some ground should not be looked at as if it is missed out. So it is better to have some elaboration. That's my view.
Thank you. Thank you, Karanji. Yeah. Arpit, your sum up to Karanji's.
So, hearing both of the learned speakers, it seems that it's an option's choice that which of the route to prefer, whether it has to be concise or little more elaborate. But on a safer side, what I can conclude is that yes, there should be a detailed submission so that all the things are covered, and whenever the matter reaches before the High Court or the Supreme Court, there is nothing that you have missed out on. And along with that, what our speaker said, that there can be a brief note of submission which can be given in addition to the detailed submission, so that the bench may refer, and along with the brief submission, the relevant detailed rounds can be referred as a part if they want to refer. So this, in my opinion, would be the best course practice.
I may just add one point.
Yeah.
Another practice, if you have time, which is a very good practice, is to try and make a one-pager that covers the entire canvas of your case. You may have a synopsis of written submissions too, but a one-pager tabulation can really make it very, very easy for the members of the bench to understand what your case is. And to elaborate on that, it would simply cover things like what is the name of the parties, what is the amount involved, what is the period, and what are the core issues in the case, and the headings of your grounds. If you do that, when you have that presented before a bench and you are starting the argument of your case, seeing that one page in 2-3 minutes, they can start to understand what is the canvas of the case. And then you will get a hint as to what is the ground that appeals to them and focus on that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Karanjit. That was a wonderful value add. Now, something which Pulokda was sharing, I would just like to take your views on that, about the case laws that we cite. What is the value of a binding precedent versus a persuasive precedent? Does over, as Pulokda was rightly sharing, that sometimes we don't give facts properly, but we give say 20 case laws.
Yes,
So what's your
yes.
take on this? Like, does over citation of case laws kill the case or make the thing weak? As Pulokda was sharing, that exact case law, near to case laws, this thing. What's your view on this?
See, the first thing to do when you even draft an appeal is to see the evidence. We have become very judgment centric because it throws up on your WhatsApp now as an update. Everyone's talking about it. So everyone's become too judgment centric. But the most important thing is, what is the evidence? You should not even agree to what your client comes and tells you across the table unless and until there is evidence to back it. Once you have ensured that you have a complete grip on what the facts are, what the evidence is, only then should you reach a stage of formulating your propositions. Now, once you have done that and you are very clear as to what the facts are and what the proposition is, then it's an easy task. Then what do? You should cite that judgment that fits into the teeth of your facts. Not one fact here or there. Mind you, one different fact can change the precedential value of a judgment.
Correct.
And it's an overkill to cite too many judgments. Ideally, if you can cite one leading judgment, say of Supreme Court on the point that covers you, if you ask me, that is enough. If there are, say, 10 judgments taking the same view, if you want in your grounds of appeal, you can just mention the list of those judgments. But if you are extract only from the lead judgment. And the practice that I follow is, I would tell the court that, look, here is one judgment that covers the issue. It has been followed in a catena of cases. Here is the list of cases.
Right.
Or if it is something that requires a little more elaboration, I prefer to take a latest judgment on the subject that has extracted all the previous judgments and the relevant paras.
Right.
Nobody has the patience today to hear long arguments or to read long paras of judgments. Please spend some time in. Many people do cut paste, no? You have to first cut your own draft. Focus on what is quintessential. If you cite too many judgments, you'll get caught in a web. Sometimes one of those 5 judgments you cite will get overruled on some other point. then it is easy for the other side to twist the case and you will get into a web trying to untangle yourself out of the web. So therefore, the less the judgments that you cite, it is better. You always have a time later when you are giving your written submissions. At that time also you can cite judgments if you need to. But one thing I must advise, and this I have learned the harsh way. Many consultants and lawyers will go and appear in the tribunal thinking they have a sure shot case. It's a covered matter, etc. It may not be. There may be some other angle that the members will come up with because please mind you, they are well versed in the subject. Some will be pro SSE, some will be pro revenue. They can come out with a different angle. They say the previous judgment did not consider this position, or now that the position has changed, and it's happening till today. So it is important for you to have that arsenal with you separately. You can keep a list of cases, compilation of judgments separately with you for you to be ready if you have to argue. But it need not be part of your appeal. It need not also be there in your submissions initially. If you are asked about a particular proposition, then to be able to substantiate it, keeping those cases in your compilation is a good idea.
Okay.
Thank you, Karan. Yeah, I think now over to Arpit ji. I think he has a question sequentially to this.
Yes.
He's going to ask to Pulak. I think, sir. Yeah.
So, Pulakda, we are living in an era which Karanji said that there is a WhatsApp Gyan giving on all and a judgment of RT Infotech which has been delivered or reported 3 days back becomes an old judgment. And everyone is knowing and every client is knowing and coming as, sir, the credit has been allowed, 16(2)(c is no longer valid. So now there are multiple High Court's judgments. Some would be favoring the assessee, some would be against the assessee. So what would be the best practice? Supposedly in GST, when in absence of tribunal, each and every matter is traveling to the High Court, and there are multiple High Court judgments which are in contradiction with each other. So supposedly I am going before a tribunal. What is the best course practice which you would suggest? That there's one judgment which is favoring me and there's one another High Court judgment which is against me. So how to go forward and put forth my case in such case?
See, first of all, what I do, I can tell you,
Yes.
right? What others do and what one should do, I should not say. What I do, whenever this kind of situation comes in, I concentrate on the against cases. All the against cases, I try to understand that the point which raised for against the case, whether I am having that kind of point or not. So that is why that in my initial submission was writing the fact correctly with evidence. It is immense importance, I'm telling you. Immense importance. 90% cases you'd be finding people are filing either appeal or tribunal. 90% cases, I'm telling you, my experience. Fact is not correctly captured. So whenever this kind of situation, as you just rightly said, that 16(2), first I try to see that why the court has given the case against. What is in my favor, it is in my favor. Nobody can take it away. Right? It is there. What is against me, I read it multiple times. Then I see what is the reason they have given the case against. Do I have the similar situation? I try to understand the fact, check the document, check the fact, interview the people multiple times. आपका ये है, आपका वो है, you have these, that, etc. Multiple interview I do carry out. Then I am multiple time after asking the questions. Maybe sometimes what happened, the same person I ask same question 4 times for different dates to ensure that he's telling the right thing. He's confident what he's saying to me. As soon as I become confident that yes, this is the fact, then if I correlate that my fact and the against fact are not telling, then I will distinguish the case. because the case which the department will say this is against, I will point out my fact is not exactly similar to the fact for which the case was decided against. So this is the way I distinguish. And if I find that no, my fact and the lost case fact are same, then I withdraw.
So there are two. Supposedly they are same. The facts are same, but the judgment have been. There are two different judgments.
Hmm.
One, where in the High Court is allowed 16(2)(c), and in other case, High Court is not allowed 16(2)(c), even though the registration of the supply has been cancelled. So how would you argue whether you would be coming forth?
So in that case, if good question, what you said, that suppose both the cases facts are similar, judgment was different.
Yes.
Two judges have taken two different views, right?
Yes.
Then I will put pressure on winning case. I would prefer that this is the right case. Now I try to find out certain precedences on the similar case. Now I try to find out the precedence. Or sometimes what happens when this kind of situation comes in that case, we would suggest that why don't you that now this matter should go to the larger bench. That matter should go to the larger bench for decision when there is a contradiction on the similar issue. Two different high courts or two different tribunals have given two different views. In that case, it should go to the larger bench. A
Well,
reference application to be made before the respective authorities for forming a larger bench to give a correct view.
so as a matter of best practice, whether we would advise that we sumo to come forward and share the against judgment, or we keep the against judgment at our back and let the department come and say the against judgment.
No, of course, in that situation, I should not discuss the against judgment.
Okay.
I would, as a counsel, I would always put pressure, because you know that why I read the negative judgment. That is my defense. Because I know the departmental representative will cite this judgment. How do I defend that point in time if I'm not prepared adequately? Because if I were in his position, I would have shown that judgment, of course. So I cannot underestimate my dear. I cannot. I'm pretty sure that he will bring in this judgment to defend his case. So what is my defense in this case? Then I have to put pressure and then leave it to the judge. Then I have no option. I will put force on this and try to find out under the similar situation, my case and the law, is there any precedence, better precedence? This kind of situation, how the court has decided the matter when there is a contradictory, how this matter was decided. So that precedence I try to find out, that I do the necessary research for finding out the what is called the precedence in this situation. I put pressure only on the favorable judgments only.
So what you have said, that wear both the hats and prepare for both the hats and
Yes. No, because if you only read the favorable judgment without reading the judgment against, you are gone in that time. Because you are not prepared, you can't answer because the moment that is being pointed out, immediately the member will stare at you. Do you have any question in this regard? If you are not prepared, then you are gone. You have to take a date. Simple.
so thank you for the enriching value addition. Back to you, Aruchi.
Yeah, so Karanji, now just taking from where Pulokda sir has left, that is, you are sharing about sometimes we need to understand what the bench wants to know, what the bench wants to hear, how we want to argue, should we repeat the matters. So what's your view on this about the matter of arguing before the bench? Like, should we repeat the same thing? Since I'm very strong on, say, 6-2B, parallel proceeding, my lords, 6-2B, I have a case. So should we go on harping on that? Should we understand the mood of the bench? Should we sometimes take adjournment where it's required? So what's your views on this? About how to argue effectively, actually?
See, one thing you have to understand is each judge is different. So therefore, the preparation required is to observe the judge and their demeanor before, and then customize your submissions accordingly. That's the
Perfect.
first thing that I would say is it is so basic but so forgotten, it's unbelievable. So, but that's the most important thing. The second is that based on the personality type, let us assume that they are patient judges well versed with the subject. Then also the approach should be, in my view, to first summarize what the issue is very, very crisply. Every case broadly can be explained in 5 to 10 minutes. What really are the issues and what the court has to look into. That lays the groundwork for your future arguments that you'll be making in the course of the hearing. As simple, as crisp, as plain as possible. As Leonardo da Vinci has said, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So please spend some time thinking what your opening statements would be so that it's easy for a bench to understand in very, very less time.
Yes,
After you read,
articulation basically.
yes, how you articulate and simplify. That's the most important. Then once the actual arguments start, my process generally has been that I focus on the best argument first. I always think these are overworked judges. They have very less time. What is my strongest argument? What is my easiest argument? I am not here to complicate their life more. So if I can gain success for the client on the easiest point, then I will argue that first and I will close it. Okay. Now, that is easier said than done. If it's an easy case, yes, you will argue uh, your easiest point first in the fond hope of success. And if you get success, that's great. What do you do for weak cases? Because in the journey of every consultant, every case cannot be strong. So there also I felt that it is better to admit upfront that these are the issues against me, so that the time of the bench is not wasted in me arguing all the weak points and then ultimately losing the matter. So I would say yes, this is all that is against me, but the silver lining is this point, and I would then focus on that. Of course, there are some cases that you have absolutely no way out. You don't know what to do. So, thanks to one of my colleagues, Prahlad, who's also here, we were discussing about the great book by Falius Nariman on Before Memory Fades.
Yes.
So, one of the points he said that when you have a weak case to argue is, if you have no case to argue, let us assume you have two weak points. He says, argue the most weak point first, lose there, then argue the second point, which perhaps has some chance. And then, as a matter of courtcraft, say, my lords, I don't know how to put it. This is the best I could do. And then perhaps you'll get some sympathy from the bench, and then they will tell you how to put it. So, there are different strategies.
Yes.
The best is to observe. It is very easy for me to say, be clear, be crisp, be concise, focus on the facts, focus on the evidence. But the real world scenarios can be very, very different. So you have to customize. Then there are some judges, especially in the tribunal, who, because they know the subject and they might have heard the similar matters before, they will feel they already know. And this happens quite a lot in the tribunal. So they'll immediately come to the point and say, no, you just answer this, you answer that. Then it's like a Q&A session. You are going for interview, be ready with your answers. Be quick so that they know you have come prepared. You have done your homework, your industries. That makes an impact. And then your long-term credibility and all also matters. So being ready, being prepared, and focusing on simply answering their questions becomes important. Many times I have seen in the tribunal, we will be making one argument before the presiding member of the bench. The other member, while you are arguing, is going through the paper separately. And he is looking at some things in the evidence, he's looking at the facts, he's formulating his own separate set of questions. And then when you're midway during an argument, suddenly a question will fall, which totally changes your chain of thought. You must be ready for that. Don't lose your cool, change your chain of thought, answer the question being asked of you, and then come back to your submissions. It can all be done. It takes time, it takes practice, but it can all be done. Please answer the questions asked by the bench immediately. That's extremely important. And if you're confronted with a situation where the bench has already heard the matter, they have already formulated a view, they are against you, your only focus can be on distinguishing the precedents. Either you distinguish it on facts if possible. That requires a great mastery of all the judgments before you go for a particular matter. Mind you, it is one thing to be generally aware of judgments because, like Arpitji was saying, in this era of WhatsApp Gyan, what do we all remember? We'll remember the snippets. That is easy to recall. But it is the specific lines of each judgment that matter. And for that, you have to burn the midnight oil. In fact, if you ask me today, in this information overload era where so many judgments keep coming, it is better to focus on your file and what you know and look at the specific judgments before you argue and be a master of that than being a general jack of all. So each judgment that can be cited against you, what are the lines that can be in your favor or against you? And if the proposition is against you, facts are matching 100% as RPG was asking earlier, then you have to focus on distinguishing the precedent either on per incurium or sub silentio basis, where the precedent is no longer binding. You have to focus on that. And ultimately, if you are losing the case, you must know when to give up. You may lose the matter, don't lose the judge.
Correct. Correct.
That's
Correct.
a wonderful way to put it. So
Correct. And
before
also, Karan, one thing, I think that one thing also you should mention one thing, that is also I have come across sometimes, that even there is a weak case, right? I know that there is no case at all, but technically challenging the show cause. There, from a technical point, I have won lot of cases technically. In one of the cases, I forget the citation. In Supreme Court, Mr. Lakshmidharan has argued in one of the cases that in Supreme Court, he said that he started with a longer period.
Yes, very often we have done that.
He started with a longer period. He did not put any pressure on the argument on the merit. I saw that the Supreme Court has confirmed the demand only to the extent of normal period. And that is a very small amount. And sometimes also I have seen that if the case is, that the department has done a technical mistake, that technical mistake, as you said, that my first ground should be the top. So sometimes the technical mistake, I first put it in. Then after that, I put my argument. If I fail into technically, then I go to my argument. And sometimes what happens, the bench in the technical ground matter is in 2 minutes, it is finished.
Yes.
Technically, I mention and see the rule, see the book. The moment he sees the book, the case is dismissed immediately within 2 minutes. No discussion on the fact, no discussion on the argument. That is also very, very important I have seen in my life.
In fact, Pulakji, I must tell you, I was arguing a matter in CSTAT Hyderabad. It was comprising of a bench of member judicial Sulekha VV and member judicial.
She's outstanding. She's highly patient. I argued before her. She's so patient, judge. Fantastic, I must say.
It was for an oil marketing company, one of these HPCL, etc. types. The point was against me on merits. And I had been arguing for a series of days. We had been succeeding. The first thing I told the bench was, my lords, on merits, this point is against me. Here is the judgment against me. They were surprised. I could see from their body language what this guy is coming and telling the matter is totally against him. It is totally against me, I have to admit. But the point is, there were conflicting views before this decision was taken. And I said, therefore, on extended period of limitation, the entire demand falls.
Correct.
And they went after the DR saying oil marketing company and suppression. And that too when there are conflicting views.
Correct.
How could it
Like
possibly?
nowadays we refer to this Chennai Petroleum case in Supreme Court.
Right, right. So what happened in the process was that other lawyers came up to me after the matter and said, other lawyers would not have done that, to be so upfront and said that the case is against you. It did two things. One, saved the time of the court. Two, it got me credibility. That
Yes,
this is the
coming
person
to
who
that
is honestly telling
credibility,
the truth.
building the credibility.
So please, you have enough flexibility within the law to argue your points. Don't mislead
Correct.
the court on facts. Don't
Correct.
mislead them on judgments against you. For
Correct.
example, what RPG was saying earlier about conflicting judgments,
Yes.
that is a different thing. That is a matter of law. If there is a Supreme Court judgment against you, you must inform the court. But if there are conflicting views of high courts, then it is a different story. You will argue the ones in your favor, the other side will argue in their favor. So, with experience, we understand that what has to be stated upfront and what is not to be stated upfront.
Correct.
So, thank you, Pulagda and Karanji. So, if I can summarize, there has to be three preparations: one a single pager, then a brief note, and then a detailed one. And while arguing, there has to be a concise discussion about the case, then the most important grounds, and then the subsiding grounds. And if the case is weak, it's better to argue and put forward that this is on the merit, but on the technicality point, we can challenge those the matter. So now, putting another question before Pulagda, that we are discussing about judgments, and we have discussed that these are the judgments which are in my favor, and currently has said that put the most important case and rest of the judgments as they have referred that judgment and followed the same principle. So now the question comes: which are the judgments which have to be attached along with the grounds of appeal or the submission, or if the citations of taxman or a TIOL is been given? So whether we need to attach the judgment with the submissions or the grounds of appeal?
See, Karan has already given this answer. I would suggest that the way I do practice, I do not share all the judgment. First of all, I very rarely mention the judgment. If it is not fit to my case, I do not refer. I refer only the case which is exactly similar to me.
No, Pulagda,
Not
Pulagda, sorry for interrupting. So, no, here what RPGs are trying to know is that should we attach the judgments along with our paper book? Say I'm citing seven
No, the
judgments.
first thing is that, Arup, first thing is that if I do not mention the judgment, there is
Yes.
no question of attachment.
Right, right.
So I only mention the judgment which is exactly similar to my case. I don't mention too many judgments.
Right.
Now, if I mention too many judgments, then the question comes, should I attach?
Okay.
Right? Because I am against of putting too many judgments and cut pasting too many paragraphs into the system, that actually creating confusion. And the more you citations you attach, you are out of control of the case. I'm telling you, you do not know. It is impossible for a counsel to have a control over 20 judgments, and you do not know that one of the judgments the bench is fully aware of, and he will pick up the negative point out of that judgment, and he will hit you, and you won't be able to answer.
Right. Right.
That preparation of the appeal document is always now that good amount of time is to be given before drafting. And I do practice this. I teach my people in my office, before you jump into the drafting, read the case fast, fact, allegation, everything, then do the research. You might have received 10 judgments, and all judgments should come to me. Then I say, no, all 10 are not relevant, only these two. Forget about these 8. Only read these 2 judgments. These are exactly similar to the fact, and read and relevant paragraph to be quoted and attach it. Finish.
Great. Thank you, Pulota. And I think as though some of our members are saying that we should extend the time of the session, but as we normally close it by 10, but I think we have some questions, Arpitji. May I request you to kindly quickly take the questions of the participants? Maybe in next 5 minutes we'll take the questions and then I think we'll do it. Arpitji, over to you.
Yes. So Soumya ma'am have asked me, can you throw some light on combined hearing of connected matters?
Okay.
So what happens if there is a combined hearing of connected matters? So how the matter has to be argued, and when there would be one leading counsel and then the other counsels would be taking up the matter. So what should be the process in this case? Currently, if you can answer.
Yeah, sure. So generally, the lead counsel will obviously take the lead. But my recommendation is that in your written submissions, let us say that there are 5 arguing counsels. All 5 of them should put forth their written submissions before the bench. The lead counsel will obviously argue most of the important points of the matter. And once the lead counsel is finished, the convention is that, it goes by seniority. And sometimes, of course, people discuss beforehand as to who'll argue first, who'll argue second, who'll argue third, etc. Your job, say, as a second or a third counsel, is to ensure you don't repeat whatever the first counsel has argued already. I would say the only exception to that rule, to not repeat, would be if the judges are totally against what the first counsel has argued and you have a different angle that has not been presented. Then certainly if you wish to repeat, you have to persuade the court, you have to use all your court craft, etc., etc., and then put forth these points. Now I know that there will only be leftovers, say, for the third counsel or the fourth counsel or the fifth counsel, but don't fall into the temptation of repeating. You can ensure that in your grounds of appeal, all your points are taken. In your written submissions also, all the points are taken. Only argue then what has been left out by the lead counsel or the second counsel. What may also always happen is that even though the propositions of law are common, the facts may be slightly different in some of these cases. So, for example, for extended period of limitation, etc., you may wish to put forth a particular fact that is specific to your case. You can undoubtedly emphasize on that. So, wait for your turn. Adopt the arguments that have already been argued in your favor. Any new argument you can argue. Any specific point of fact that is unique to your case, please put it forth. And then you can conclude your case. So that's how I would deal with connected matters.
Correct.
I think Arpitji, there are no more questions which have been answered because most of the questions have been already answered by the panelists. So maybe you can take the final view from Pulak sir.
Sir, Pulakda.
Sir, your final views on, like, we are stepping into the tribunal, so your final, words to all of us.
See, when the tribunal, this GST tribunal would be formed, you know that those who have already appeared before the SISTAT, they do not require any knowledge further. But those who would be jumping into this tribunal practice in future, those who are new, those who have not been tested in the SISTAT. So for them, my advice is that first you go to the tribunal, spend some time sitting in the back bench, observe. It's a new rule, act, new rule. Maybe style would be little different. Maybe, I'm not sure. Maybe style would be little different. Judges will be new. For them also law is new. Now we are arguing before the judges. For them the law is old. They have given so many judgments in this regard. So for them it is nothing. It is that is the reason it is not very difficult for us. But when the GST law will come for all participants as well as the judge, it's a new. So I suggest that those who would be starting, they should spend some time understanding the judge, approach of the council, approach of the DR, and the approach of the bench and mood, everything, their knowledge level, their reflex level. You know that the knowledge gives a reflex to the judge, right? How the judges are reflecting to the fact and reflecting to the, I mean, that fact and reflecting to the law. Based on that, you prepare. And you know that it will evolve, I'm telling you. It will evolve. I cannot guarantee that within a month you will learn everything, right? It is not possible. I mean, I can't. I also have to evolve through the process. Maybe after 1 year, 2 year, I will understand how this court is functioning. Then only I will start getting the confidence.
Thank you, sir. So now, Karanji, over to you. So in 60 seconds, maybe we can guide us or throw some light on this.
Yeah, I think I will only supplement.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
My recommendation is that practically, many of the people who are wanting to start off in GST will have some knowledge, at least of substantive law, perhaps some experience also at the adjudication level. Undoubtedly, you must observe beforehand, but a practical way out could be that you should work alongside people who are regularly appearing in the tribunals or in the
Correct.
high court. Assist them, learn from them. Because lawyers learn by osmosis. They absorb what others do and then they learn. In fact, all human beings do that. So working with people who are appearing regularly or have certain skill sets helps you see how they have worked on a particular file. Another mistake I have seen happen is, people think that good lawyers get away because of face value. Therefore, what they will do is these youngsters will come, they'll draft the appeal themselves. They have done some job of it, and they expect one arguing counsel to appear and come and do magic. So my request is, if you are a youngster who is building your career in complex matters, work alongside people with experience and right from the beginning, see the trajectory of a matter from the reply stage till the time the tribunal decides it. Be patient. This process takes years. It takes years. I mean, people with 40 years experience are also still learning, trying to do self-improvement, etc. Then what are we?
Right.
So
Perfect.
that is very, very important, and it's a practical way. It will help you as a consultant earn revenue also. It will help you gain experience also. And what happens is the best learning comes when you actually work on a file or on a matter. It is easy for us to say we'll update ourselves, we'll read judgments. Sometimes it's not so easy to stay motivated. To be very frank, sitting at the back of a tribunal, I've also done it. Then, sometimes people will ask you, why are you here? What is your item number? You have no answer to give. All those kind of things. So now at least you have comfort. You'll probably able to watch the live streaming. Okay, make your notes, etc. But work alongside other people, learn from them. Say there are 2, 3 good counsels who appear in the tribunal. Take one matter to each of them. Learn the differing styles. That will make it interesting for you also.
Correct.
And then you can cultivate your own style. So practicing in the tribunal is a good idea. There's going to be enough work for at least the next 10 years. So many matters will be there. I don't know how they are going to handle the pendency. Then another input I have is I saw when the NCLT had come about, there were a lot of training programs, even for the members, because IBC was also new. I wouldn't be surprised that there will be some capacity building done. Some training programs may also come once the GST members are appointed and they're actually working. If some of those are open to consultants, it will be good to attend those so that you also get an idea as to how the members will think. So there will be lots of avenues. Yes. Yeah, I think that's it.
So
It's
thank
already
you so much.
18.
I think I would say we all before I just final concluding words, I would like to share that all four of us, Unni ji is not here. So Arpit ji, Venugopal ji, myself, and Unni ji give a deep bow to both the panelists. It was first of all Unni ji's idea to have this panel discussion. Arpit ji has framed the questions. Basically, we have developed then we developed the question. Venu ji has actually structured the entire thing, how it should happen, and we should invite others, how the panelists should be. So it was an idea by all four of us. But from all four of us, please accept our deep gratitude to both the panelists. Your words of wisdom, we have actually in this 1 hour, we have listened to 48 years of wisdom combined, more than that, about 5 decades of wisdom. So that itself is a huge privilege to all of us. And so I would like to thank to both of you. But before I thank you and the participants, I would like to go over to Venuji.
Arupji, 1 minute.
Yes,
Arupji,
Arupji, yeah, first to you.
also,
Sorry.
both our learned panelists for today have said that only the perfect judgment should be quoted. So
Yes.
I'm quoting only the perfect comments which are there for them. So what the members have shared in their comments, Paul Thangamji has said, very useful session, sir. We can surely extend. Sujata ji has said, great practical sharing, excellent speakers. Renuka ji has said, what a session. Thank you for the valuable inputs. Ashwin Kumar ji has said, no copious word would be enough to thank them from the bottom of my heart. So these are the awesome insights and the comments which we are receiving from the members, and I think that these are perfectly fitting for the session. That's why I am reiterating them. So thank you to both the speakers and heading of the session to the Venugopalji for the final words.
Yes. One of our strong pillars of our GST faculty group, Venuji. Yes.
Yeah. So, firstly, with special thanks to both Polak sir and Karan sir for this 1 hour that you have spent. I'm not sure. It's like it just went away. Everyone was so engrossed in the discussion. And this is like a perfect podcast where you're speaking from the heart, your experience. Like every member who are here, they are appreciating that the kind of insight they got before the start of the tribunal, and that's a perfect match for the July day which we wanted to do it. And sincerely, thank you so much from the faculty group. All the members who have attended are actually the faculties who are taking GST sessions across certification course or the advanced courses. And they're all here to hear you for the tribunals, and everyone, including myself, is like it was so enriching to be here. And thank you so much. And members, thank you so much for joining and taking time. Special thanks for Arup and RPG for moderating the session. Sir, we will invite you again for some of the session. Please be kind and open to be on Saturday morning sessions whenever you get a time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
so
sir.
much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.